what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, one of the hot topics in bodybuilding, seems to be some of Sean Ray's comments on the Cutler cast about whether or not Urs should actually compete in the Open Olympia this year. Now, obviously, Urs qualified at the Pro Muscle Italy, and then he won again in Germany, winning back-to-back Open shows, including his Open debut. So this will be his first Open Olympia ever. And Sean Ray on the Cutler cast said he thinks that Urs should skip it. His exact words, as quoted in that Cutler cast, were specifically, "My advice was don't go to the Olympia." And then he said, "For what? To stand there and get 7th, 8th, 9th place? There's nothing to gain for you there."
He did. Sharper, actually. My advice was don't go to the Olympia. There's nothing there for you right now. You're a work in progress. You just won 2 pro shows. Now you want to go there and stand on the stage and, I don't know, 8th, 9th, 10th. There's nothing to be gained there. Now is the time for him to grow. And then if he puts on the right type of muscle and the right type of size, he can come back and win the New York Pro and have the whole summer to get ready for next year's Olympia.
Is what Sean said. And then Phil Heath also weighed in on this, and he said, I decided that having more time in the gym was smarter than going to the Olympia and getting top 10, referring to him skipping his first Olympia that he qualified for. And then when Phil did come back in 2008, he got 3rd at his first Olympia ever. I think a lot of people like to jump on to anything that Sean Ray says and just instantly think he's being overly negative. But I think half of what Sean said, he had a point. I mean, I think we all agree that the bottom line is Urs needs to put on some size. He needs to figure out how to add that density to his back. He needs to increase the size of his arms. He needs to have a proper off season to fully grow into open bodybuilding and really be a serious threat at the Olympia. I think most of us watching right now, or most of you listening to this right now, agree with that. I don't think most of you guys watching think that Urs is going to be top 3 at the Olympia or fighting for the title. So at least half of what Sean said, I think most of us probably agree with. Now, do I think that Urs should skip the Olympia this year? Absolutely not. For one, I think to say there's nothing for you there to get 7th, 8th, or 9th place, I think is a little bit disrespectful to guys that place in that range. I think for Urs, at his Open Olympia debut, if he's anywhere in the top 10, I think it's a massive accomplishment for him. And also, I think he wants to do it. I've said before that I think Urs is one of those guys that genuinely just seems so happy and appreciative that he's here. He's going to be happy and appreciative just to be on that Olympia stage. He enjoys being there. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And I think on top of that, at this point, the Olympia's, 3.5 weeks away now? So it's not like the Olympia is months down the line and Urs could add months of off-season, months of training if he skips the Olympia. He would add a few weeks, which I don't think is really that big of a sacrifice. I think Urs wants to do the Olympia. I think he clearly wants to do the Olympia. And I think for him to do the Olympia, he would sacrifice 3 or 4 weeks of what could be maybe a whole year of an off season. I think it almost would seem silly for him to skip it, to add 3 weeks to an off season or a prep. Or we don't even know what his plan is for 2026. Maybe Urs's plan is to not compete at all and take the whole year to focus on growing, and the 3 weeks doesn't really matter to him. He's still a young guy. He's got a lot of time. And I think Urs is also very realistic going into the Olympia. He said on Dennis James's podcast, he doesn't think that he can beat Samson or Hadi or Derek, Martin, Nick. So Urs kind of sees himself in that range, in maybe the 6 to 10 range at the Olympia, at best, in his own words. But I think really the main reason, out of all the reasons that I think Urs should do the Olympia this year, is that it's never guaranteed that you will ever be there again. With bodybuilding, anything could happen. He could have an injury. He could have a health issue. He could have anything could come up. It's not guaranteed that Urs will ever qualify for the Olympia again. I think it seems like he's on that track, that he will qualify again. He will win another open show, but it's never guaranteed. He's a few weeks away. He's qualified. He wants to do it. He's healthy. He's not injured. And there's no guarantee that next year he's still healthy, uninjured, and able to do it. Bodybuilding changes really fast when it comes to the trajectory of these guys' careers. And I think if your goal and your dream is to compete on that Open Olympia stage, and you're qualified and you're healthy and it's a couple of weeks away, I think you should do it. Because the biggest thing is it's really not guaranteed that he'll ever be able to do it again. Anything could change next year. And obviously we hope that it doesn't. We hope that he's healthy and has a really long open career, and I'm sure he probably will. But again, it's not a guarantee. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you think Urz's chances are at the Olympia this year? I know we've talked about this a couple of times. But in addition to that, what do you think about the comments from Sean Ray? Do you think that Sean has a point? Do you agree that Urz should skip the Olympia? Or do you think that Urz should do it? I think that Urz, my opinion, is he should just ride his momentum and enjoy it. He won back-to-back open shows. Had an incredible, I mean, this is his rookie, he did his open debut. This is his rookie year as an open bodybuilder. I think 2 professional wins in open bodybuilding and a top 10 Olympia placing is an incredibly successful rookie year for a classic guy coming to open. And I don't think it's a negative. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And of course, he's not guaranteed to be top 10. I think he will be. But even if he is, I don't think it's an L for him. And frankly, like Sean said, stand up there and place 7th, 8th, or 9th for what? I think if Urz was top 7 at his first Open Olympia after winning 2 open shows, that's massive momentum going into next year, because we all know that Urz hasn't finished growing yet. We know that this is Open Urz version 1.0. So if he somehow is top 7 right out of the gate, I don't think that's for nothing at all. I think that's massive. And I think their argument is, well, if he takes the year off and comes back better, he could be much higher than that. He could be top 3, top 4 if he really takes the time to improve. And again, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I also don't think the 3 weeks of, okay, I'm going to do the Olympia is really going to negatively impact that time. For all we know, he could take the whole 2026 off if he wants. So my thing is, I think Urz is primed, he's ready, he's young, he's healthy. It's 3 weeks away, 3.5 weeks away. I think he should do it while he can, because there's no guarantee that he will always be primed and healthy and ready to compete. And I think, let's be real, I don't think any of Urz's fans, maybe some do, I don't think most have the expectation that Urz is going to be top 6, top 3, or win the Open Olympia this year. I think his fans, myself included, are just going to be ecstatic to see him compete in the Open Olympia against the best open bodybuilders in the world, coming from being one of the top 3 best classic physique guys in the world, regardless of where he places. And I think if he places anywhere in the top 10, it's not for nothing. I think his fans will be over the moon that he's even in the top 10 conversation. I'll be honest, I think this is a no-lose situation for Urz. I think, honestly, if Urz is dead last at the Open Olympia, seeing him compete, I think will still be really exciting for his fans, and it won't be a loss, because we know that he has improvements to make. And frankly, I think there's no chance that he will be dead last. I think he will be in the top 10. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Now, next up in the news, we got a recent physique update from Derek Lunsford. Again, we are now 3.5 weeks out, a little under that now, from the 2025 Mr. Olympia. Derek is definitely considered to be one of the front runners. Really, it's not that all-encompassing of a physique update. You can see his quads. His quads look pretty massive, although it is taken kind of at an angle where his quads are the foreground of the picture. But this is really the most recent and one of the few updates that we've gotten from Derek recently. And I think it's especially relevant given the recent interview that Nick Walker did talking about Derek, and obviously the rivalry between Nick and Derek. But Nick also had posted a picture where he's just showing his quads. This was about a week ago, so a little bit less recent than Derek's. And every week matters when you're getting, this close to the show. So I wanted to put Derek's picture side by side with Nick's. And I think that Nick has definitely brought his quads up. It's been definitely a point of criticism for Nick. And I think they look pretty good here compared to Derek's. And Derek has struggled with the fullness in his quads as well. When he came in to Pittsburgh, I felt like that was something he was struggling with against Nick. And I think Nick is more competitive now in the lower body with Derek than he was. And I think there's a good argument to be made. I really do. I think that Nick and Derek is probably one of the more exciting rivalries, one of the most, going into the Olympia weekend, because I really think Nick has a chance at a really good comeback story. I think it's not unrealistic that Nick could place higher than Derek. Again, I'm not saying I think that Nick is going to win the show, but I don't think it's unrealistic that he could place higher than Derek, which would be a big comeback story for Nick after missing the 2 Olympias. And also considering the final story that I have for you guys today, recently on Fuad Abiyad's podcast, Nick Walker had some choice words for Derek.
How do you feel about Derek minimizing you as a competitor?
Derek's got a shitstorm coming, bro.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
I think, if I'm going to be honest, I think that was disrespectful as fuck.
Yeah. Well, there's been a few comments now, if you recall.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Do you think Derek does that because he's trying to play a game, or do you think that's just who he is?
If it's a game, it's the worst game ever.
And Derek has, honestly been the one out of him and Nick that has really been, I would say, instigating the rivalry the most, which is surprising because of the 2 personalities. I would say that Derek comes off as, or tries to come off as, the more passive of the 2. But I think when you really look back at the last, 6 months in bodybuilding, most of the comments that really sparked off this rivalry between Nick and Derek, they were all made by Derek first. And that's why Nick in this podcast responding to it and saying, Derek has a shitstorm coming. He thinks what Derek said was really disrespectful. I think that's what makes the rivalry so exciting, because even though Derek technically did beat Nick in Pittsburgh, and Derek is one of the favorites going into the Olympia, arguably more of a favorite than Nick is, but then Derek has really been the one instigating it with Nick. It makes you want to root for Nick to beat him, because not only is it a really good comeback story, but you've got the guy, Derek, that's more of the favorite going into the show, kind of directly talking down on Nick. And I think, if I'm being honest, I think it does come across like Derek is worried about Nick. I think that's why he's made so many comments about him. I think that's why the rivalry with Nick bothers him. I think that's why some of the comments from the fans, from Nick's fans, bothers him, because I think he knows it's real. I think he knows there is a real chance that Nick could beat him. And I think that's why maybe subconsciously Derek has been saying, some of these things about Nick to maybe reaffirm it to himself that Nick can't beat him. And look, when you think about Hadi, if Hadi's not there, like at this point, we don't know if Hadi's going to make it to the Olympia. And at this point, even if Hadi does make it, he's been in Dubai for over a month, and he wasn't planning on being. That's got to be impacting his prep. That's got to be impacting how he's going to look on stage. This really massive detour, waste of time. But let's say that Hadi's not at the Olympia this year. I hope that he is, but let's say that he's not. If he's absent, does that make the conversation of that top 3 could be Nick, Derek, and Samson? Does that seem unrealistic to you? If Hadi is not at the Olympia, does it seem impossible that that could be the top 3 comparison that we're talking about? Nick, Derek, and Samson. I think if Hadi's absent, that seems like almost a likely scenario. And I think that is what makes this rivalry so real between Nick and Derek, because I think there is a chance that you see this rivalry play out in the top 3 call out of the Olympia. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below about Nick versus Derek. That's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power. my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel, and consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.